Back at Angry Cylinders, and this is not Gentle Ben disassembled, but would you believe another Mr. Norm sold 426 4-speed 66 Coronet. This one happens to be the 500 trim. This one here has a really good story to it too. Has not been driven since 1978. Was bought new by the original owner, who has had it all the way until this year, early this year. So he's owned it the whole entire time. I'll tell you more about the story of how he got it later. As you can see, the car was disassembled, put away. It was in a front collision, so we have to rework the front part here. But it was in a collision in 1978 and has not been put back together since. The car is filled with a bunch of parts. I have to go through them yet. That'll be the interesting part, to see what I have and what's still in there. But this car is also like the other one, Gentle Ben. This one here is also pretty much rust-free. The quarter panels are complete. There is no rot on this car. A little bit of rust. Looks like the trunk was replaced at one time. But here you can see the trunk is really solid, kind of dirty, and it's got some surface rust on it, but pretty solid. A few things we'll address. And wasn't expecting to get into another project, but now it looks like I'll be doing this car so that it will be matching the 66 Gentle Ben car. Happens to be basically the same order other than a 500. Basically the same, no options, radio delete, only the 426 and 4-speed and whatever Mr. Norm did to it. And this car actually gives some tattletale signs in supporting some of the things we thought about Gentle Ben. I'll get into that in a minute. You can see I've taken out the parts. This was all just in the trunk alone. So I'm sorting through parts. It looks like there was a donor car that was taken apart. Looks like a 440 donor car was taken apart. And then also other parts of this here. Looks like he labeled it as some of the original stuff. That you can see there's the original manifold. It says Mr. Norm on it. And out of this set, there's one here too that says Mr. Norm. So I should be able to sort this out. You can see some trim pieces from 440, so I'm thinking that he got a donor car and took some pieces off of there. You can see the 500 trim. It's not in great shape, but it happens to be that I have an extra one, so that's good. So, yep, I'm in the process of putting the parts in where they go and seeing what I have and what I need to get. I still have to clear out the inside of the car, which is completely filled with parts. Hopefully the hard to find parts are in there. You can see the rear deck's gone. But again, you can see this thing is really solid. So, got some body work to do in the front. Actually, quite a bit of body work in the front. But other than that, we're at least working with a car that's fairly rust-free. Now, this is actually the engine as it left Mr. Norm. So one thing's for sure. I know there's been some doubt about was the 426 turquoise or orange. This one has never been painted. It's the original engine. It's a 426, and it's orange. So, and it's got the chrome valve covers. So that tells us right there that this was painted by the factory, and it was a chrome package on there. So we got that part right with Gentle Ben. And there's a few other little things on here that gives me some details that I could get Gentle Ben a little bit closer to correct. I'll be able to see what oil pan they use, because that's the original oil pan. I put an oil pan that worked for Gentle Ben, but now I'll be able to figure out which one actually it came with. So this engine's going to tell me a lot. It's even the manifold, he marked it Mr. Norm 66. So he kept things together. There is the 4-speed transmission bell housing, and like I said, some donor parts. That one's the donor manifold, but not needed because the original's on here. I don't think that this thing would have been a black breather cap. I think he probably took that from another car because it would have been chrome. And I'm not certain that this plug is proper, so I'm gonna have to look at that. The water thermostat housing neck tells me the proper direction it was because there was lots of different options. So now I know which way it faces. I think even Galen and myself had discussions on which way it would have been, and I think we're both wrong. But now looking at this, we know which direction it goes. Happen to have an extra down there, painted turquoise, by the way. So the donor card that came off, that was turquoise. This one's definitely orange, but as you can see, this one here has some issues, corrosion issues with it, so I won't reuse this one. The original heads are on here. So it's going to tell me a lot about the date codes and how this thing was put together. Interesting enough, it is a 64 block. So that supports the idea. I used a 64 block, a late 64 block for the General Ben too. So I think I got the block date correct. But we're going to get into looking at all the date codes and stuff on this to find out more of the history of what really took place on the 426 delivery. So stay tuned. This is going to be a fun project, but I'm also scared of all the stuff that has to be done to it. It's going to go rapid. Believe it or not, my goal is going to be to try to get back to McCacken with both cars completely done. Don't know if that's going to be possible or not, but we're going to give it our best try. It's really going to depend on how this car turns out after we get it all stripped down, and we're probably going to get it either blasted or acid washed and find out everything we have to do to it. Body and paint will take the longest for this. Looks like most of the interior is there. I'm probably going to have to replace headliner, carpet, and the usual stuff, but I think I got all the parts that came with the car. We'll find out when I dissect that interior. That's a mountain of parts in there. So keep watching. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to post the progress on this car. It's like DEJA view here. It's really basically the same project over twice. So anyways, we'll start breaking this down. More videos to follow.